Um, okay, like transitioning out of competitions. So how did you decide you wanted to go from more of a traditional, not necessarily fine dining, but a nicer restaurant into the barbecue restaurant situation?
So, as I said, I had that restaurant for 20 years, and about year 15, I'll be very candid about it. So, yeah, year 15, and I was I don't know, maybe I was in my 40s at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about the future, and I started thinking about, well, what's my end game? Restaurants don't really have an end game. There's generally not a windfall.
Mm-hmm.
And for in Massachusetts, I can talk about what I know. A restaurant sells for hopefully 25% of its sales.
Yeah, that's not a good.
So we were doing a little over 2 million, and which was a lot of money back then. So I'd walk, if I was lucky, 500,000, and then I got payouts. Right, I got to pay all my payables and all that stuff. So maybe and taxes. So maybe you clear 250.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with that?
No.
So that's kind of part of the catalyst. The other catalyst was I was bored. I've been doing the same thing for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I had opened some other restaurants, and they did okay, and I closed them. But really, I'd focus on that one restaurant. And so what I wanted to do was a new challenge. And I knew my challenge I wanted was multiple units. That's
Right.
what I wanted to do. Multiple units. It's a different world. I'll get into that in a second. But so I know this guy. He's my business partner now, and we, a friend of ours put us together, and we started talking. He's like, it was the weirdest 3-hour meeting, and at the end of the day, he's like, "So you want to do this?" I'm like, "Sure, okay, let's do this." And we were going to do a izakaya, a Japanese pub. And that's really, I love izakayas, but the more classic ones that are more like a pub than like this like amusement park, and just like really good Japanese foods, not sushi, some raw fish though. And so we're working on it. We're getting some designs. I'm working on the menus. And he looked at me one day and goes, "Why aren't we doing barbecue?" And I'm like, honestly, I'd never thought about it.
Wow.
Because it's my sport and my like something I do, and it's my mistress, as I said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if I wanted to marry her, and I said, you know what, give me. And also there were some technical issues that I was concerned about. How do you serve barbecue that is almost just out of the pit, right?
Yeah.
That's the question. That's a
Right.
$64,000 question.
Yep.
And so I took 2 weeks. I did some research, talked to a bunch of people, wrote some menus that I thought would be fun, and came back and said, yeah, let's do that. I think that's going to be more fun for me. And I think it would have been, I think the izakaya, I don't know if it would have been successful or not, but it would have been a lot of intensity for me.
Yeah.
And this was a little, felt more like home. So that's why, I decided to open up multiple units, and then to continue that thought about endgame is that, like we're going to open up 3 in the next year. And so you're really just kind of taking the same stuff and putting it in a different box. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit easier on opening. It's one of my strengths is building teams.
Yeah.
Right. So, like our barbecue team, I built that along with Chris, right? I build these teams. I somehow have an innate understanding of what needs to happen and who needs to do it. And I have a unique management style, which isn't great for everybody, but I'm a challenger. I like to challenge people to hit their full potential. I do that much nicer now than I did in the 90s. When you build a brand, the Smoke Shop barbecue is a brand. And I hope that it will live past my time. I hope that it will go on and do great things. I'm a part of it. I'm obviously probably like the CEO if I had a title, but would call me pitmaster. But it's this thing that is growing that will take care of my family. And there could be an end game if I wanted it to or not. But it's really fun and exciting to build something like this.
When you were developing the menu, how did you go about reining your chefness in and focusing on the barbecue, or do you have a lot of unique items on there? Is there a balance there, or is it a certain style of barbecue?
Yeah, great question. So I'm not trapped. I'm not, I shouldn't say that. I feel that if I was in Texas, I'd have to do Texas barbecue or my version of it. And then I feel if I was in Memphis, I'd have to do a lot of dry rub, right? Like I feel that's kind of what's expected, right?
Right.
Well, first of all, great barbecue in New England isn't really expected. We do have some really great stuff, though. I would be remiss not to mention Fireflies, Rusty Can, and BT's. These are great places. They do a great job. I always love Carrie Bringle's statement, you don't have to hate someone else's barbecue to love mine, right?
Yeah, right.
They're all good. We're all
100%.
So we kind of do, so how did I rein it in? So first of all, the menu was totally different than what we have now. We had the barbecue, but I had some other stuff in the beginning, some steaks, some fluke, like crudo and things like that. And you know who tells you you're good and if you're not? Is the guests.
Yeah.
And the guests will tell you what they like and they'll tell you what they don't like. And they didn't want to order any of that other stuff.
Right.
All they wanted to order was barbecue. So I'm like, that's cool. Let's just stop doing that other stuff. And we did. And so we've changed in that regards. I want to back up also because I want to say that I said there were some technical issues for cooking the food or holding the food. CVAPs was the answer. If you probably knew, that's how we were able to hold our barbecue in a perfect state. So going back to what we were saying now. So in regards to the menu, I do burnt ends, so they're Kansas City style, right? But it's my homage. It's my tribute. I call it tribute style, right? I'm not gonna look. I can make kimchi really, really good, but I would never call it traditional kimchi because I am not Korean and I don't deserve nor want anybody's heritage, right? So the same thing. I don't want to take someone's heritage away and say, "Oh, this is Texas style brisket." This is Texas brisket. Yeah, it's Texas style, but it's not. Look, I'm not from
my
Texas.
version of Texas style.
Yeah.
I like
so
to
that's
say
what we
stuff
do.
like
So everything's kind of got a little bit of my version to it. But so, a lot of people, I always love Mike Mills said, the best barbecue is the barbecue you grew up with. So we get a lot of people going, oh, this isn't right. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, well, this is our version. I hope you like it.
Yeah, a lot of blows people's minds when I tell them the ribs should not fall off the bone. They're like, well, that's the best is when they just fall right off the bone. And I'm like, oh, boy.
Well, I'll tell you something about that. Did you read Unreasonable Hospitality yet?
No, I started it, and I actually started listening to it so I could get through it, but I didn't finish.
Well, you got to finish it. There's a point where the guys, the guy who wrote the book is listening. He's the owner, manager, whatever of the restaurant, and he's listening to a server because a guy got a medium rare steak. And he's like, this is undercooked. I don't like it. The server is explaining to him, sir, we sous vide this. This is cooked precisely to 135. This is perfect medium rare, sir. But what was he really saying? The guest.
He didn't like
the
it.
Guest, it's undercooked for me. That's it.
Yeah.
So I am the guy who responds. So now we've changed a little bit. But I used to respond to every single Google review. And I would read every single one. I still read every review. And we would always get ribs ribs weren't falling off the bone. Ribs weren't falling off the bone. And after I read that book, I said, oh, wait a minute. The guest is telling me this is what they want. Right. So we used to cook them to 194, 195. So they were small tug, like I think a rib should be.
Yep.
But we took it to 198. And so now at 198, they pull off the bone, yet they still stay on the bone.
Fair
so we
enough.
kind of split the difference, and I have not gotten rarely do we get a comment that they're not falling off the bone anymore. So back to it's listening to the customers and what are they saying, and if you hear something, people hate online reviews. I love them. Give them to me. Let's do this because they don't put you out of business.
No,
you put yourself out of business.
Right.
Everyone's going to get a bad review. Everyone's going to get a good review. Not as good as your good ones. You're not as bad as your worst ones, right? You're somewhere in between.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. We just to make the point is very similar with our restaurant. Started off with way too much stuff. We had some like New Orleans stuff, and then we'd run specials every night. and nobody was coming to us for our pan-seared tilapia on Friday night. I guarantee it, So it was clear as day, and it really took us to almost to COVID to dial in and just, focus on the barbecue. People are going to go to Sweet Baby Ray's for what? They're going there for barbecue. They don't care about anything else. So
yeah,
and we just it took us a while, but we got there.
And then you were asking about keeping the menu fresh and stuff like that. So I view it more like a steakhouse, and when you go to a steakhouse, you know what you're going to get. For me, it's the New York strip or hopefully a skirt steak if they have it. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite. I might get the cream spinach. Maybe I'll get the roasted mushrooms this time. Probably get a potato, right? Mm-hmm. And that's every steakhouse we know of that has that. Barbecue restaurants are similar to that. So I don't necessarily feel the need to do some wacky stuff, right? Or do something different. We'll change our sides seasonally. Like we just put our Brussels sprouts on and everyone's celebrating right now because they love our Brussels sprouts.
Nice.
We'll put some stuff, bring some stuff in and out that's more seasonal on our sides. But our main meats, they're not changing. Mm-hmm. We like what we do. We do one thing. We do it real well.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I think especially when you're going outside and doing more locations, you want to keep that consistency. And why don't you talk a little bit about that? Some of the challenges or some things that have been really important to you as you grew past the first location.
Well, I was warned and didn't believe him because I'm an arrogant chef, right? When you get to 3 locations, you're going to have a problem. And I'm like, how could that be? We're so good. We opened up 1 restaurant. We were wildly successful, very successful. Opened up 2, even more successful. And however you deem success, just that's what it was. Mm-hmm. We got to 3. We started failing. We started losing money at every location. What happens is guys like me who are single unit operators don't know how to operate multiple units. Mm-hmm. And I had surrounded myself with my executive team, which is like my director of ops, my culinary director, marketing, what have you, were all people like me. A lot of times you hire people like you. So I hired single unit people, and these people are awesome. Someone's called me tomorrow and said, should I hire them? I'd be like, yes, absolutely. They're great people. But when we got to 3, we realized our training was shite, to say it nicely. When you have 2 units or 1 unit, you can go train on the fly, go back and forth, train, put your finger in the dam. When you have 3, you can't. And that's where you realize your training is bad. And we would get reviews that would say oh, you know what? This location isn't as good as that location. Mm-hmm. So now I'm being compared to myself. That was awful.
Oh my God.
That really upset me. And things like my sauce. We're a gram kitchen. I don't know if you're a gram kitchen, but I'm huge in the metrics. Not Celsius. I don't understand that, but just grams, because your tablespoon and my tablespoon are different. You like to mound it a little bit. I like it flat, right? But my 15 grams and your 15 grams are exactly the same. Right. So my barbecue sauce, it's a grammed out recipe. You measure, you weigh every single thing. It's always the same. Yet at every location, it was always different. And I was going from location to location, trying to figure it out. And ultimately, we had to have someone pack it for us, which is also great because now we have it bottled.
That's the best way to do it anyways, but I get your point of wanting the consistency in the grams. I just saw Charlie McKenna do a video on weighing your recipes out in grams versus cups and stuff like that.
I do it at home. It's the ultimate way. It's great for baking, but it's great for everything. It really is the best way to do it. And you get used to it. You start knowing, what a 15 grams a tablespoon, 5 grams a teaspoon. You kind of get used to it. And it's just a great way to cook. Very precise. So, we just kind of had all sorts of growing things. So what did I do? This is my partner. He's very smart. He's like, you need to get people that have run multiple units. So the people that are around me now came from, we have something called the Lions Group, which is a big group around us. We have somebody from Cheesecake Factory, California Pizza Kitchen. These people have trained how to run multiple units, and it's a lot different. It's not as nimble. Think of us more my old restaurant, my first restaurant was like a speeding boat. And I want to change directions. I could change it today.
Right.
I would walk in on Thursday like, okay, new menu tomorrow night.
Right.
We're prepping it now. We're going to change half tonight, half tomorrow. We're done.
Yeah.
If
You
I
don't
want,
have to
if
go
I want
anywhere to cost it out. You don't have to tell anybody. You just do it. Yeah.
no, don't have to train anybody. Like I'll show you on the line,
Yeah.
right? But now, gosh, I want to put something on the menu. It takes like a month and a half because it's like they have to like. First of all, we have to order it, and we order so much of anything. We've got to make sure that our partners have what we need, right? And what the pricing is. But then we've got to train the people who are making it. I can't be in every kitchen, nor can Mateus, who's our culinary director. We call him Dobo, director of barbecue ops. But, it's a lot. You got a lot of people that work for me, so you got to really train. And it's like the Brooklyn Bridge. You're going to train, and then you're going to retrain. Mm-hmm. And then another thing we do is, we do constant stuff like line checks. Every 2 hours, a line check for taste, but also for temperature, for quality, right? We're continually looking at what we do. There's a lot of risk involved. We serve, 10,000 people a week or something like that. So, there's a lot of risk. So, you've got to make sure that everybody is doing everything the right way.
We definitely have to talk again offline because that's something I'm developing the Duce's Wild, like the first restaurant for it. And the goal is to have it to be a multiple unit idea. So I wonder if there's things I should put in place in the beginning or don't worry about it until I have that third store. I don't know. There's probably something in between.
If I could do it over, I'd have SOPs for everything.
Yeah.
See, you have an advantage because you have one location, right? So you already have it going. So now you just need to standardize it. This is how we do it.
Right.
And so, standard operating procedure for trimming brisket, standing operating procedure for smoking brisket, standing operating procedure for, cooling brisket. Every single thing needs to be done.
Yeah. And then it's like, and not only do you have to do all those, but then you have to make sure they're following them. That's probably
you have to train.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's the one thing that when you have multiple units, you need to give up is control. Mm-hmm. Being controlling was in some ways really great for me for my solo restaurant, right?
Yeah.
But I often now think maybe I could have been less controlling and seen what let other people shine.
Yeah.
But that's water under the bridge. But now it's really like, look, I can't do it all. There's just no way. So I got to trust that my team is doing the right thing, right?
Right. In a way, it's similar to what I have going on with the catering business. Now, I've had to loosen up on the control situation because there's Saturdays we have 8 weddings going out. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I cannot put my hand in all those weddings. There's no way.
No.
We have a team in place that, we have an executive chef, a director of operations, and all the event directors going to the events and like you said, you have to trust your team, and when there's issues, address them moving forward, and then keep refining your processes and things like that. But so I'm okay with the control piece with the restaurants because I've had to learn that with the catering business. But it's definitely not easy, but it's easier when you have a good team behind you for sure.
Yeah. I like the trust and verify.
Yep, trust and verify for sure. What is in the future for Mr. Husbands?
Well, Mr. Husbands is noodling a new book. I'll tell you that much. With or without Chris, we'll see. I've been bugging him, see if he'll do it.
More
with me.
barbecue?
But I've got an idea that I want to do, so something I'm passionate about. Within the grilling barbecue area, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I got an idea. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of noodling it, and I like to bounce it off of people, but not on podcasts. And so that probably will happen. As I mentioned, we're going to open up 3 more smoke shops in the next year. So we're very excited about that. We're just about to start construction on the first one. And then I think in a couple more months, then we'll start the next one.
So that'll take you from 3 to 6. Is that correct?
3 to 7 will be at. I'm sorry, 4 to 7.
4 right now you have. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're very excited. It's very, very cool. So that will take up a lot of my time.
Now, is the smoke shop can it be quick service or is it just sit down only? Like,
gosh, we're 30% takeout.
Yeah.
So
any drive-through or no?
No drive-through, but like, third-party delivery.
Sure.
Which we love. We love our partners in that. DoorDash was instrumental in our journey during COVID.
Yep.
So we're very thankful for that relationship. It's been great. And
are you a Toast person?
Yeah. So the integration is phenomenal. I love Toast. They're really good to us. The things I work on, since you mentioned Toast, I don't know what everybody thinks I do all day, but it's not running a pit. I would prefer to be running a pit all day.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm working on things like Incentivio, which is like our app and our our rewards program, and coupled with Ovation, which is we just onboarded with. We love Ovation. They help us with communications with our guests, guest services, phones, bunch of different stuff. So that's really been exciting for us, working with them. So those are the things that kind of I am interested in. What's neat about this career, this path is, look, I spent years in the kitchen, hours after hours, right? Mm-hmm. And then I grew, and I've grown as a human being. So, and I don't think I could physically do 80 hours in the kitchen now anyway. No. But it's not, it's not where I'm at, right? And my job is to teach and train and lead and live in the future of what's coming, right? So, as soon as we open the next one, my mind will be at the one after that, right? Mm-hmm. Figuring it out, thinking about the issues, trying to troubleshoot, right? So,
is there a lot of thought about when you're talking about more restaurants is keeping it as simple as possible? I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you know what I mean? Because the more complex, the more room there is for error and issues and stuff like that.
We just want to do the same thing.
Right.
We're good at one thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So you
barbecue
have it
and
dialed in
bourbon
enough for, like, if you go to 5, 6, 7 restaurants, it's going to be the exact same model moving forward.
I think so. I got some stuff that I want to put on the menu, but that's a great thing. So when we opened up East Boston, which our last one that we've opened recently, we put on a Nashville slider, right? And so we put it on there, and it was successful, and then we rolled it out at the other locations. So I have a couple ideas for the next location to do, and then maybe they work, and then we will roll them out to the other locations. So that may happen, but we don't want to grow our menus too much. We're also thinking about, because we're in the suburbs and delivery, we might do some kind of ghost kitchen. I'm going to try to look at the need. Obviously, I believe, there's some really good taco places in Methuen. That's where we're going next. I don't want to do that. I don't want to compete with anybody. Let them do their thing. But, try to see, maybe there's something, I don't know, muffaladas. There's no muffaladas, so we're going to have a ghost kitchen of muffaladas, which it won't be, but something like that. So that might be fun. I love new things, and I love challenges, and I love, exciting, it excites me to challenge. So we'll always keep our eyes open. You mentioned drive-through. I'd like to maybe do drive-through someday. We could do that on certain items. I think that would be fun. Maybe we were in a food hall for a while, in the Boston Garden, and that was incredibly unsuccessful.
Oh no.
So
with all those people, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's only what, 80, 90 days a year.
And they take a huge % off the top, don't they?
Yeah. So it just wasn't. I don't want to throw shade at those guys, because it wasn't just that; it was COVID also.
Yeah.
And COVID really changed everything. And there's a lot of businesses around there that just aren't. The buildings aren't full, so that's not their fault. So there's a lot of reasons why. So but I'm glad we checked it out. For sure. I'd like a food truck. That'd be fun. Maybe I'll do that someday.